Welcome to the fall workshop series offered by Pentair. As with all this material, it will be about a half an hour in length with Q&A to follow. If you have a question during the presentation, feel free to use the chat feature to ask that question, and we will go from there. Today's topic is the 5800 valve and the XTR2 controller as a combined set. So let's take a look at the form and function of the 5800 valve. The 5800 valve is a nice compact unit, 182 millimeters wide, 228.5 from the top of the tank to the top of the unit, and only 165 millimeters away from the wall, or at least from the back of the valve. Its spatial dimensions, nice compact design, and a valve for residential applications. You have a continuous flow rate of 21 gallons per minute, a peak flow rate of 27 GPM, and a CV of 5.4, I'm sorry, and a total backwash max of 17 GPM, giving it a very, very versatile range in residential applications. It has a 1.05 diameter distributor line, a half-inch quick connect NPT female pipe thread fitting to adapt to for the drain line, and the 1600 3/8-inch brine system. This is designed for a 2.5-inch mounting base tank with the 1610 two-piece injector system. So really, really versatile valve here, can handle virtually all filter applications as well as softening applications this valve is used on. You have a snap fit bezel, so you can get a different look between the blue and the black. You have a gray environmental cover is also available. I would say that is an absolute must for outdoor installations of units, just to protect the unit from let's say insects and small animals getting inside the cover. Plus it helps keep UV light off of the unit as well. You have a transformer that will fit all the international needs, international configuration with alternate adapters that pop into the head, allowing it to adapt to whatever market you're selling into. The one thing that's really nice about this unit is, and across the entire 5800 line, is this snap fit together assembly of the control surfaces of this unit. The controller snaps into a plate, and now all the controllers that we have nest like this, the XTR2, the SXT, all nest this way into this cradle. It just pops into place. But more importantly, the back plate and the motor mounting bracket also clip into a retaining bracket up front. So it's a really easy, no tool assembly here to put this together. You also have an optical sensor for indicating and directing that piston into the proper position during its service routine. And this also gives us the ability to fully program this valve for 21 steps, which is a feature of the XTR2. You have a snap-in single-piece motor with harness included with the adapter for the optical sensor included. So very, very easy to assemble, very, very easy to put together. And if you're using this as a rental fleet, all the gears internal to this unit are the same. So it's just a matter of putting them in lowest to highest, so you can replace the gears in this unit if you need to totally rebuild it. The DC drive motor here is critical to the function of this unit. It's a 12-volt DC motor that runs at around 10,000 RPM, so it's very, very fast moving from one position to the next. but it also gives us the ability to drive in both directions. So we're able to go backwards and forwards in a regeneration cycle. It's not a straight path flow chart. We can now go back and forth and move back and forth between piston positions as we wish to program. The harness is included, so there's fewer parts needed when replacing and fewer issues with connecting to the motor itself. No loose wire connections there, eliminating issues for service technicians in the field. The 5800 valve has a single piece drop-in style seal and spacer cartridge. It does have this standoff spacer at the bottom. It uses the 2510 seals. Even though they're not an interchangeable design, it's still the same time-proven, time-tested seal package with this spacer added. Single cartridge drops right into the valve. Very, very simple to service, and you know which way it aligns. This gets dropped into the body first. And the 1610 injector assembly, very, very simple assembly with the brine valve here. The adapter that screws in, this female brass adapter, is where the brine line flow control is housed. It's a rubber disc. Make sure you're programming to that. It should be matched here. You also have the drain line flow control that's threaded into this housing as well. So all your pertinent flow controls are right in this assembly. And underneath these two screws is where the screen and the injector lies. Just basically everything you need for a 2.5-inch tank in order to use it as a softener or filter. And each one of these is a 2-piece design, so you can take this apart and clean it if you need to. I suggest replacing them rather than cleaning them. That's really up to service techs in the field. But if they poke them out, they should be using a toothpick or something along those lines. That's a softer material, not a metal material, to poke out these injectors. So when that valve is paired with the XTR2 controller, you now have a very, very reliable, robust valve that has lots of serviceability and ease of serviceability built into it, but the fully functional programming of a up-to-date present controller in the marketplace. You have a touchscreen capacitive touch interface here. You have very simple, easy to understand controls. You have advanced programming features that track daily water usage. It applies a reserve based on a history, the weekly reserve function. You have Regen type other that will allow you to customize the cycles up to 21 steps here. So if you have slow filling wells or things like that you have to deal with, you can program around that. Or if you have chemical injection you need to do during the regen, that can allow you to do that as well. You have 2 programmable auxiliary relays that will allow you to turn on and off pumps, turn a light on or off, turn on a chemical dosing pump, turn off a chemical dosing pump, depending on the stage in regeneration. All those sorts of things you can do with this valve. You can do separate source regen as well, or a brine tower if you had multiple of these in a, let's say, a small condo complex where each unit had their own unit, but you wanted to use one source of salt. You could do that as well just by triggering a pump on and off. So very, very intuitive, easy to control, but very, very versatile controller here. It able to connect to the field programmer that's downloadable off the Partner Center, allows you to, for OEMs out there, to build their own programs and just push them into valves as they're assembling. They can save stock programs that they want for various regions or various applications and just push it directly into the valve. The valve will also store 6 weeks of diagnostic data as well. The home screen here You have the date and time. You can access that to program or change it just by touching that screen. This is for time-delayed regeneration. If you're going to use this as a time clock, shows you in 2 days it's going to regenerate. The green color here shows you which state it's in, and it rotates with each cycle step. You have the regeneration button, just like we have on all our controls. Your settings or gear icon to get into settings, review, and master programming. Your diagnostics, this is where you're going to get all your troubleshooting information. Your assistance, you can program your dealer name and phone number and contact information into these panels, so you're with the unit, not just a sticker on the tank. And it has vacation mode, which will trigger a regeneration after the first 150 gallons are used after someone returns from a trip. So you hit vacation mode, go away, and when you come back, after 150 gallons of water is used, it will trigger a regen so that you can get up and running. For metered base, the difference you're going to see here is you're going to have gallons remaining until regeneration up in this corner. So very, very simple and intuitive to understand what type of valve you're dealing with walking up to it. And this is all protected by a screensaver that the screen goes to sleep after 5 minutes of inactivity. You just have to touch it to wake it up to bring it back to use. Very, very useful to have. I have one in my own home. I really enjoy playing around with this valve and programming it to get it to do different things. Very, very intuitive to use. You have quick start assistance here that you can start up and go through the unit. Initial valve startup, we'll plug it in, you'll bring up settings, English, units, metric, whatever you need to do here along those lines. You can use the USB icon and to use the field programmer to plug it into the unit. It takes a USB mini to do that from a laptop to push that in. Your assistant's name and interval. You can enter in a PM interval on this unit as well. So in 6-12 months, you can have the unit put out an error code that says essentially, call for a service call. Let's get your unit PM. I love that. Too often in water treatment, we're a wait till it fails industry. I love things that drive our customers to do preventative maintenance issues. It saves them a lot of money in the long run and helps drive service calls and profitability for a dealer. Setting the time of day, you tap this square up in the corner, and if you adjust the date, the month, the date, and the year, the rest, the day of the week automatically adjusts, and then you can program your time here just by tapping on this. With this controller, you always must hit the check button. This is your enter button for anything you program. So you have a supercapacitor that'll keep the unit powered for 8 hours after a power outage. This is something you may want to show your customers, or your dealers may want to show their customers on how to set the time. It's really, really easy to do. Vacation mode. This is really kind of a neat function when people are going to be traveling a lot, or somebody who has multiple properties. Very, very useful function. They can have salt water anywhere they go using vacation mode. It saves on water and salts by eliminating unnecessary cycles when people are away. The function automatically moves out of vacation mode when it senses 150 gallons of water use. And when the unit moves out of vacation mode, it will automatically regenerate or backwash that night or when it's programmed to do so. So it takes the worry out of having to remember a detail when you come back. Diagnostic. Very simple rules to go through. You hit the diagnostic button on the front panel, brings up diagnostics to be able to see flow rate presently, peak flow rate, total gallons used, and cycle through it. You'll be able to return home just by touching the home button. And the back button can be used to take you the stored information back to zero. This is essentially the reset here. Diagnostics, lots of good information coming out of this valve on when to have it. Serviced, very, very good information you get out of it to know what's to have on the truck on that given day. Gives the water treatment professional the tools they need to be more effective. You have flow rate, peak flow rate, total volume of water since last regen when it occurred, the reserve, what that's programmed to be, the software version. We might need to know that in case there is a issue with a board, number of regens, and the system initiated regenerations has gone through since the last reset. Regen interval, the length of time between regenerations over the past 4 regens, daily water usage since the last regen, and my favorite for service providers is the last settings change. It displays the date and time of the last update to master settings, so you can understand if your customers have been playing with it rather than a service technician. You can initiate a regeneration by hitting the regeneration cue up here on the panel, and you'll get now or at the program time. So you can hit now and have it go in right now, or punch it for that 2 a.m. regen start time. You're going to go through, when it goes through a cycle, it will start and have the remaining time left of that particular cycle. If you wanted to skip through, you push this button. If you wanted to go back to treatment, you just hit the X and cancel out. You can advance through these steps, wait for the motor to catch up. It'll move the piston, go into that step, and then you can advance it again. That's very useful in troubleshooting while in the field. There are 2 levels of programming to the XTR2 and can only be entered during treatment. You can't do this during backwash. You hit the gear button. You can have it have a day override and set that. You can set your regeneration time. I prefer mine at 10 o'clock in the evening rather than 2 a.m. Why? I can't stand the sound of running water when it shouldn't be running. Having worked with plumbing and filtration basically my entire life, if water shouldn't be running, I don't want to hear it. So mine goes from, it starts at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. so I can hear it finish so I can sleep. So that's just me personally, but most of the time it's at 2 a.m. regen when people are sleeping so they don't hear it. You can set your hardness and you can factor in your ppm iron here as well. Mine's 23 grains per gallon. I've set it at 27 because I have 2 parts per million of iron. I'm using 2 grains per gallon per ppm iron where I live. To adjust that, and then you hit the program button to save it. You can enter in the master level programming. This requires that 1201 password code for dealers. Do not give this to your customers. Otherwise, they will be in here messing with this. We really don't want them to unless they know what they're doing. You're going to get asked this. You're going to hit, check mark, yes, I want to go into this. And then you're going to enter in that number, hit check mark. Cancel takes you back to the home screen. We do not want our customers going through this and getting into this unit. Now, you can format it for language, units, and assistance. You can set the type of valve, the system type, and regeneration type here as well. You can set regeneration flow, whether it's upflow or downflow, depending on the type. You can program your relays here as well, normally open or normally closed. You can enter in your meter type here, whether it is the stock one or a separate meter that you are sourcing from someone else. You'd be able to enter the K pulses here. Then you can do a settings review. You can review all the settings. And there is a port for wiring remote regenerations. So when the master programming screen is exited by depressing the house button, all settings are saved for the operating system. The program save button allows you to store those chosen parameters as a non-factory setting. So you can save the program you put in as a default program in the unit. So if it needs to be reset, you can set reset to non-factory. That's my program I've saved in the unit, reset to that, or I can reset to the factory settings. But if I've done any adjustments or use my field program to put in a special program, I can just go ahead and hit non-factory here and get right back into business. The remote lock and start out, let's say this is useful in a large home that has a control panel somewhere in the house, or it has the ability to hook this up to a Wi-Fi signal or something along those lines. Be creative with this, but you can signal a backwash to start remotely if you need to, like backwash the filter, or when you can automate this with a pressure switch. If you get a pressure drop in the unit, you can trigger a signal, things like that, that you can do automatically with this. Very, very convenient for light commercial work as well, because this unit will go into that realm with this controller as well. You have those two programmable relays that we discussed right here, normally open or normally closed. Choose which you want. Turn on and off any device you want based on the treatment cycle. And in that 21 programmable feature cycle, you can program these to come on at a various cycle interval or during service, fully programmable over the range of the programming. So whatever cycle you want, whatever volume you want, whatever condition you want these to trigger on, it's programmable that way. You can do this cycle based, so it can turn on or off on a specific cycle. You can do it time based. The relay should turn on and off up to 2 specific start and end times. So at this time during the day, you can turn this on or off and have it run for that period of time. You can do it by volume. Every X number of gallons or liters, you can turn this on for up to 2 hours. Alarm based, the relay will turn on when specific alarm condition is met. Will turn off when the alarm is cleared. Very sort of interesting things, like if you've got, if you need to have a light so people can see that there's an error condition, you can do that in an alarm-based function. So this is how they're wired together. You can either have it normally opened or normally closed, depending on which you wire it to. So examples of relay use: alarm-based, turn on a warning indicator from the system may be malfunctioning. Volume-based, chemical dosing pumps to feed chemicals during water flow. Time-based function is actually solenoid valves that change flow from a brine reclaim during regeneration, or catch rinse water for reuse, or shut off a RO pump, or turn on a chlorine pump to add chlorine to the brine tank before you regenerate if you wanted to sanitize the softener as well. Those sorts of things can be done. So all of these valves are able to bed lift and backwash any softener resin and heavy medias like Corsex and calcite on 2.5-inch threaded tanks, including 16-inch diameter tanks up to 4 cubic feet of media. So very, very good unit for just about any condition you're going to run into in a residential or really light commercial space, like beauty parlor or something along those lines. So very, very reliable valve with a very versatile controller. Really, really enjoy programming and using this controller. If you have any future training requests, feel free to drop us a line at training.request@pentair.com to request any topic you might like, or just give us some feedback on a product, or just talk shop about an application or treatment train that you're trying to assemble. We'll be happy to help you out with any way we can, or get you the people who can help you with that discussion. If there are any questions, feel free to ask them via the chat feature, or you can raise your hand and I'll unmute you and go from there. If not, have a wonderful rest of your evening or day. Hopefully it is a better looking day than I'm having here in Northern Illinois. We've got one of those gloomy fall rainy days here. Hopefully you're enjoying some sunshine and nice weather where you're at in the world. Well, thank you very much for attending. If there aren't any questions, have a wonderful rest of your evening, and hopefully tomorrow is a wonderful day for you, and it's profitable and uneventful. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.